ahead and bring up my numbers here. Now, here we go. So this is actually like my notes that I just copied and pasted onto this little free notepad that they have online that I opened up here. So these are my exact, this is the exact research that I did to in order for this stream. Yes, because I actually did research for this stream, believe it or not. I spent some time to actually not just come on here and sound like an absolute dumbass. I mean, I probably still do, but at least I'll know what I'm talking about. And I can base my opinions on, anyway, I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, so let's get into it, man. So the question here, we're going to be comparing Marlon Humphrey and Myles Garrett, right? We want to see who has a better chance right now to win Defensive Player of the Year. And believe me, this is not me just saying that these two are absolutely going to win Defensive Player of the Year, because there's a lot of defensive players in the league that are absolutely balling. But for the sake that this is mostly a Ravens channel, but it's still open to all NFL fans, so welcome. However, but I do like to compare, what's going on within the division. I think it makes for a fun argument here, a fun case. So that's the reason that Marlon Humphrey and Myles Garrett are the main topics. But of course, guys like Aaron Donald are absolutely balling out as we expect. There's a lot of other players that are out there balling out. So, I'm not taking anything away from them, but that's the reason why we're talking about these guys. So basically, I want to kind of compare what's going on with Marlon Humphrey this season so far. As we saw, he's had 3 forced fumbles in these past 5 games. He's been balling out. He's been having a great season. And I kind of wanted to compare what he's doing right now to what Stephon Gilmore did last season in order to win Defensive Player of the Year, because he was the last DB most recently that has won Defensive Player of the Year, right? So that's the reason for that. So right now, Marlon Humphrey, 28 total tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1.5 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, 1 interception, 5 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles, and no fumble recoveries. So the thing about Marlon Humphrey and Stephon Gilmore is they are kind of different types of players, right? Because even as you can see right here, Stephon Gilmore, it doesn't seem like he's coming in on blitzes as much as Marlon Humphrey does. He's not really going to be in the box. He's not like that physical tackler that's going to, come and get dirty in the run game. That's not really Stephon Gilmore's type of game. So he does a really type of different thing than Marlon Humphrey. But so it's a little bit of a different comparison. However, Marlon Humphrey still has that ability to be like a lockdown corner as well. So that's just kind of what makes him so good as a player on the field, that not only is he physical and able to punch the ball out and, play in the running game, but he's also able to just shut down your best receiver and really move all over the field, the nickel, the slot, the outside, the other side, the left side, the right side. It doesn't matter. He's willing to follow the number 1 receiver on any team, which is what makes him so good. And same thing can be said for Stephon Gilmore. He does the same thing. He follows the best receiver in the slot on the outside. But anyway, so as you can see, Marlon Humphrey, I already read his stats. Let's just move to Gilmore. Gilmore in 2019, this was his Defensive Player of the Year. 53 total tackles, no tackles for loss, no sacks, no quarterback hits, 6 interceptions, 20 pass deflections, and no forced fumbles. So as you can see here, I mean, Humphrey is pretty much already there when it comes to tackles, which with what Gilmore had. So I actually took this data right here. I know I sound like a big-ass football nerd, man. What do you want me to do? I took this data right here, and I basically divided it into the 5 games and what he's on pace for and what he's averaging for, and down here is what you're going to see. So if Humphrey continues playing at pretty much the same level as he has been in the past 5 games, this is kind of what his stats would look like. If he obviously things are going to change. One game is going to be a little bit worse than the last, or one game is going to be a little bit better. So obviously there's no real way to actually discern what's going to happen in the future, but you can still take numbers and just kind of have some fun with them. So Humphrey right now is on pace for 90 total tackles, which as you can see is almost 40 more tackles than Stephon Gilmore had last year. 3 tackles for loss, already 3 more than Gilmore had. 5 sacks, 5 more than Gilmore had. 10 quarterback hits, again, 10 more than Gilmore had. 3 interceptions, which is half of what Gilmore had in his 2019 season, but maybe Humphrey gets better and starts picking, well, not get better, but you know what I mean. But maybe Humphrey starts picking the ball off a little bit more. You know how Humphrey is. He's not really that ball hawk like a Marcus Peters is. He's just more of that punch the ball out, and he'll get picks on you, though. If he has an opportunity, he will totally come up with the pick. 3 interceptions compared to 6, 16 pass deflections compared to 20, 10 forced fumbles and compared to 0 forced fumbles. So, the numbers aren't too off. You can give Humphrey some more points for, playing more in the box, more sacks, more quarterback hits, that type of stuff. But he doesn't have the picks in this scenario. But again, that could change. This is just what he's on pace for. So interesting. It's interesting that his numbers wouldn't be too off from what Stephon Gilmore had in his Defensive Player of the Year in 2019. So I also wanted to talk about some advanced stats that I have on Marlon Humphrey here. He has been targeted 34 times, and he's allowed 22 completions for 198 yards so far this season. That's pretty good stats. I mean, that's really good stats, actually. The thing about Humphrey is that he will allow receptions. He'll allow completions like underneath. Like, that'll happen. But he's going to come in and try to punch the ball out, and most of the time, he's successful with that. So he's very physical. He's going to take you down immediately. But this year, at least, he hasn't really gotten beat by the deep ball at all. That was something that was a concern from him early on in his career. But anyway, so with these numbers here, he would be on pace for 109 targets, 70 completions for 634 yards. Now let's compare that to what Gilmore did last season in 2019. Gilmore was targeted 101 times, allowed 51 completions for 599 yards. So actually, in a way, yes, Humphrey in this scenario would allow more completions than Stephon Gilmore did, but he's not allowing much more yardage here, only like 35 more yards. So that's an interesting type of number there. It's basically saying that he would be allowing, like a lot more underneath stuff, like kind of like I said. So that I just found that an interesting little tidbit there. Shout out to Brum Moment. He says Queen is on pace for well over 100 tackles as well. Oh yeah, I think Patrick Queen is winning Defensive Rookie of the Year, man. I don't know if it's just me being biased, but I truly do think so. He's been playing awesome. He really has. Really, only that Chiefs game was bad for him, but it was, to be fair, it was a bad game for everybody. So you gotta kind of throw that out there. But yeah, so that's pretty much my case for Marlon Humphrey and Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, as a Ravens fan, I'm going to have some bias because he's an awesome player. He's definitely our best defensive player, I would say, and he probably has the best chance out of anybody on the team to win Defensive Player of the Year. So that's my case for him. Numbers are pretty, they're interesting, especially when compared to Stephon Gilmore there.